Hey guys, so this is a post-use review on this Allen 4-bike rack. There are a couple of things I wanted to point out on this now that we've used it. I did want to point out that you got to make sure that you get one that has enough clearance to get past your bumper. As you can see between here, this isn't hitting on the bumper. Also, you want to make sure that you get one that you can actually drop down to get out of the way so that you can open on the van. You need to be able to open the back door. This is super simple. You just pull this little strap pin out. You can drop it down, you can get into the back of the vehicle. Plenty of clearance, it's not going to hit anything. The piece itself has a rest on the back here where it actually stops itself, it doesn't fall to the ground. Like I said, we used this over the weekend, and I can have my wife or my 15-year-old set this up. I don't have to be there to set it up, so it's not that complicated to set up. The top is the same way. It's just this little pin that you pull out. This is what makes it so that you can rotate this up to be able to put the bikes on. Super simple. Now it's locked. It's not going to go anywhere. You can pull this pin out real easy and drop it back down. Pull the pin out, bring it back up, lock it in. Some of the bike racks that people are driving around with, and the clearance is out to here. The arm still starts and goes out here, but the bike racks, you know, there's 2 feet of room behind the vehicle. You don't want that. You want to have this thing as close as possible to the back, as I'll show you where it was at in the beginning. Like I said, it's really easy to take this thing apart, drop it down. You can leave it on the vehicle. It's low profile enough, and you can get this move back far enough so that you can open the door. There's no reason to take this off. It's all bolted in. Just leave it bolted in. But look at the clearance behind here. You know, this is 8 inches of clearance. You don't need 2 feet of clearance behind the vehicle. Once this is up, I want to show you a couple things I noticed on the rack itself. I've mentioned before that these are all cloth straps. You want to get the ones that are cloth. I've seen plenty of bad reviews on other options where the rubber straps, they're sitting out in the sun. As you can see today, they're in the sun, they're in the rain. The rubber straps that are originally flexible, they get hot, they crack, they break. You don't want ones with the rubber straps. One of the additional features that I want you to see, and I'm going to show you by putting this bike on real quick. So when you're putting the bike up, you have to figure out where it is in the bike that the straps are going to fit through. So as you can see, I'm actually under the whole bar here, and I'm under the middle bar here. I'll just leave it on this spot right here. So you just make sure the little clip is in the front and the strap is out in the back. Make sure it's like that on both of these. Here's something I want to show you. These can swivel. So instead of this thing just being straight up, it can actually swivel and go in the direction against the bar that you're trying to strap down. I'm not going to go over the top of this because I'm going to be on the brake line. I'm going to go in between the bars here. Every bike's different. You have to figure this out for yourself. But the way that I want to do this to show you right now is that the strap itself, the strap can tighten down on this with no problems. I can get this strap tight on the bike so that this is not going to fall off. It has nowhere to go. It's completely strapped in. This piece can't slide forward or backward. There's a sleeve between each of these that spaces them. This is what I'm talking about. These things can move around. So if you had a bar in the front here, you could turn it over and clamp it to the bar in the front. You could clamp it to the bar in the back. You could clamp it to the stem of the bike seat itself if you wanted to. But if you look inside these slots here, I'll see if I can show you in the closest up one here. If you look inside the actual rubber where the bike frame sits, you'll notice that the brake line on the front here goes underneath. Well, inside there's actually channels grooved into the rubber here on all of these so that the brake line itself isn't rubbing on something flat. It can actually fall into the channel. So I think that that's a really good feature that's in these the rubber base where the bars are going to get strapped in. If you've got a brake line under here, the brake line will sit in the channel and you're not rubbing against the brake line the whole time you're driving. Now they have an option on these that you can buy this brace that goes in between the wheels. I'm not sure if it's just to keep these from spinning, if it's to keep these from not flopping around the whole time that you're driving. But what I did is I put each bike on here, biggest towards the vehicle, and then the medium-sized bike to the smallest in the front. And what you do is you just have them going in opposite directions. So if this is going this direction, the bigger bike behind it would be going the other direction, so the handlebars are over the seats of each other, not handlebars running into handlebars. But instead of buying the additional bike rack, the bar that goes in between the wheels, what I did is just use a belt. Find any belt, doesn't need to be anything fancy. I'm just using this, I only keep it on there as long as the bikes are strapped on the bike rack, but I just ran this simple belt through the 4 tires on the one side and then just locked them together. Once the bikes that were in the middle, they don't have anywhere to go. It's just the front one and the back one. I don't want the front, this one flopping all over, and I don't want this one hitting against the van. I didn't have any problems with that. I strapped the one that was closest to the front and closest to the back. I went through those front wheels, and that's what keeps them from wobbling around. I've heard people say I guess on really nice bikes, if the bike's doing this the whole time, I don't know if it's going to take away mileage on the axle on the front, if it's wearing out the bearings. I don't even know if you call this an axle, but if it's wearing out the bearings in the front, if that's a problem with that, and that's why you don't want the spinning. Other than the very first time we used it, I scratched the sticker up on the other side. Everything on this works. I don't have any problems with this bike rack. I would suggest to get it. I think it's well worth the money. You can look at way more expensive bike racks that I don't think have the same features. Other ones are clunky, they're too far away from the vehicle, but I just wanted to make sure to show you a post-use video on this. So we've used this over 4th of July weekend. We rode probably 6 hours total. That's actually riding from home to our destination, stopping, getting the bikes off, getting back out on the road with the whole thing folded in, driving to another destination 2 hours away, coming back 2 hours, and then reloading the bikes and coming back home 2 hours. If you can do that, then it's super simple to be able to load these up, take them to the park, put the bikes on, go to the park, take the bikes off, put them back on. You can still get in and out of the van if you've got a cooler or whatever in the van. So I think that this Allen 4-bike rack is a good option to have. If you're looking for something, I think it's well worth the money to buy it.